Broke Shabbat Yom, brothers and sisters, Hebrews in Jamaica, the Caribbeans to West, to the four corners of the earth, scattered greeting. This Shabbat lesson we're going to title it, Yahusha speaks in parables, brothers and sisters. Yahusha speaks in parables, and why? Brothers and sisters, so Yahusha spoke in parables for exactly the same reason that Moshe and all other prophets of Israel spoke in parables. In their prophecies, he was using parabolic image and Hebrew idioms to conceal and reveal how his birth, life, death, and resurrection were like a variety of things in the known physical realm. Believe it or not, Eliyahu told all the prophets of Israel from Moshe to Malachi to conceal the word of Eliyahu in parables and other hard to understand, saying the prophet Hosea specifically state that Eliyahu spoke through his prophets using parables, brothers and sisters. So we're going to examine these scriptures, right? So take a look at the screen. We're going to go to Hosea 12, right, to 10. But we're going to go further than that, brothers and sisters. Okay, brothers and sisters, take a look at your screen. Hosea 12. We're going to take it from 1 to 14. That's Hosea 12, 1 to 14. Ephraim feedeth on the wind, and followed after the east wind. He daily increaseth lies and desolation, and they do make a covenant with Assyrians, and oil is carried into Mizraim, Egypt. So Ephraim feedeth on the wind, and follow after the east wind. He daily increaseth lies and desolation. That means he increaseth in deception. Ephraim partake in deception and lies, right? And is aligned with the Assyrians, whom the Most High judgment is against, because they are an ungodly nation. They do not know the Eliyahu of Israel, right? Yahuwah had also a controversy with Judah, and will punish Jacob according to his ways, according to his doing will he recompense him, right? That's the action the Most High take because of what Ephraim did in verse 1. He increased in what? Lies and desolation. And this is pronounced judgment. Yahuwah had also a controversy with Yehuda, and will punish Jacob according to his ways, according to his doing will he recompense him. He took his brother by the heel in the womb, and by his strength he had power with Eliyahu. Yea, he had power over the messengers, and prevailed. He wept and made supplication unto him. He found him in Bethel, and there he spake with us. Even Yahuwah Eliyahu of hosts, the Adonai is his memorial. Yahusha. Therefore turn thou to thy Eliyahu, keep mercy and judgment, wait on thy Eliyahu continually. Verse 7. He is a merchant, the balance of deceit are in his hand, he loveth to oppress. And Ephraim said, Yet I am become rich, I have found me out substance. In all my labors they shall find none iniquity in. Again, and Ephraim said, Yet I am become rich, I have found me out substance. In all my labors they shall find none iniquity in me that were sin. And I that am Yahuwah thy Eliyahu from the land of Mizraim will yet make thee to dwell in tabernacles and in the days of solemn feast. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. Is there iniquity in Gilead? Surely they are vanity. They sacrifice bullocks, and in Gilgal, yea, their altars are as heaps in the furrows of the field. And Jacob fled into the country of Syria. And Israel served for a wife, and for a wife he kept sheep. And by a prophet Yahuwah brought Israel out of Mizraim, and by a prophet was he preserved. Ephraim provoked him to anger most bitterly, therefore shall he leave his blood upon him, and his reproach shall his Adonai return unto him, brothers and sisters. So you see the Most High, outline the sins of Israel, Ephraim, right? So what does that mean, brothers and sisters? What this whole chapter means? Okay, let's dive into it, brothers and sisters. What does it mean, right? So the Most High set a high charge, right? The Most High Yahuwah Eliyahu set a high charge against them, right? A high charge drawn up against both Israel and Judah for their sins. You see, brothers and sisters, which were the ground of Eliyahu's controversy. That was the center of the Most High controversy, their wickedness, right? This is what the Most High laid charge against Judah and Israel. See how he mentioned Ephraim. Ephraim's the head of Israel, the head tribe of Israel, the 10 tribes, right? The 10 tribes, brothers and sisters. So the Most High lay a high charge, and he drawn up a charge against both Israel and Judah for their sins, which were the ground of Eliyahu's controversy against them, meaning the center, the foundation of it, of the charge. Right? Particularly the sins of fraud and injustice, which the Most High outlined the charge against Ephraim in Hosea, when he says right here, in the first chapter, the first verse of Hosea, what the king said, Ephraim feedeth on wind and followed after the east wind. He daily increased in what? Lies and desolation. So that's the charge Moses have against Israel. The increase of their lies and desolation, and do it make a covenant with Assyria, the pagan country. Pagan people worship idols and false gods. Right? So the Most High had that controversy with them, particularly the sin of fraud and injustice we just outlined just now, right? Which Ephraim is charged with, and justified himself, and the sins of adultery, by which Eliyahu is provoked to contend with them. Right? The aggravations of the sins they are charged with, taken from the honor of Eliyahu, put upon their fathers Jacob. The advancement of them into a people from low and mean beginning, and the provision he had made them of help for their souls by the prophets he sent them. A call to the unconverted to turn to Eliyahu, an imitation of mercy that Eliyahu had stored for them. Right? Ephraim is convicted of folly in staying himself upon Mizraim and Assyria when he was in strait. Ephraim feeds on wind, that is, feeds himself with vain hopes of assistance from man. Hence, when the scripture says, "Curse the man that put the trust in man," and he is at variance with Eliyahu because he has forsaken his foundation, his hope. And when he meets with disappointment, he still pursues the same game and greedily pants and follows after the east wind, which he cannot catch wholly of, nor if he could, would it be nourishing? Nay, would it be noxious? We say of the wind in the east, it is good neither for a man nor beast. It was said, he sows the wind, and as he sows, so he reaps. He reaps the whirlwind, and as he reaps, so he feeds on the wind, the east wind. Note, those that make creatures their confidence make fools of themselves, and take a great deal of pains to put a cheat upon their souls, and to prepare vexation for themselves. He daily increased lies, that is, multiplies his correspondence and leagues with his neighbors, which will all prove deceitful to him. Nay, they all prove desolation to him. Those very nations that he makes his refuge will prove his ruin. Those that stay themselves upon lies will be still coveting to increase them. that they may build their hopes firmly upon them, as if many lies twisted together would make one truth, or many broken reeds and rotten supports. One sounds one, which is a great delusion, and will prove to them a great delusion, or desolation, actually, desolation for those that observe lying vanities. The more they increase them, the more disappointment they prepare for themselves, and the further they run from their own mercy. The men of Ephraim did so when they thought to secure the Assyrians in their interests by a solemn league signed, sealed, and sworn to. They make a covenant with the Assyrians, but they will find there is no hold of them. That potent prince will be a slave to his word no longer than he pleases. They thought to secure the Egyptians for their confederates by a rich present of the commodities of their country, not only to purchase their favor, but to show that their friendship was worth having. All is carried into Mizraim, Egypt, but the Egyptians, when they had got the bribe, dropped the cause, and Ephraim was never the better for them. Right? Olium, Predite, et Opriam, the oil and the labor are both lost. This was feeding on wind, and this was increasing lies, desolation, brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters? The Most High too also have an issue with Judah, brothers and sisters, right? The Most High also have issue with Judah. Judah is contending with two, and Yaakov, which includes both Ephraim and Judah, because Ephraim represents the 10 tribes. He's the head of the 10 lost tribes, right? And when the scripture talk about Yahuda, it also includes Benjamin, the smallest of the tribe, his brother. So whenever you see Yahuda, you see Benjamin. Whenever you see Benjamin, you see Yahuda. Both were caught up in the slave trade along with Levi, remnant of Levi. So Judah is contending with two, and Jacob, which includes both Ephraim and Yehuda. Yahuwah has also a controversy with Yahuda, for though he had a while ago ruled with Eliyahu and been faithful with the saints, yet now he begins to degenerate. Or though he keeping close to the house of David and the house of Aaron, and in them to the covenant of royalty and priesthood, they were so far in the right. In the former they ruled with Eliyahu, and in the latter were faithful to the saints. Yet upon other accounts Eliyahu had a controversy with them and would punish them. Note, men's being in the right in some things, in the main thing, will not exempt them from correction, and therefore should not exempt them from reproof for those things wherein they are in the wrong. There were those of the 7 churches of Asia whom Mashiach approved and commended, and there he adds, nevertheless I have something against thee. So there, though the seed of Jacob are a people near to Eliyahu, yet Eliyahu will punish them according to the evil ways they are found in, and the evil doings they are found guilty of. For Eliyahu sees sins and in his own people, and will reckon with them for it. So both Ephraim and Judah are put in mind of their fathers Jacob, whose seed they are and whose name they bore, and it was their honor of the extraordinary things which he did, which Eliyahu did for him, that they might be the more ashamed of themselves for degenerating from so illustrious a progenitor, and staining the illustrity of so great a name, and yet that they might be engaged and encouraged to return to Eliyahu of their fathers, Yaakov, in hopes for his sake to find favor with him. He had called this people Yaakov, threatening to punish them, but how shall I give them up? How shall their name be forgotten, brothers and sisters? right? So even though the Most High is punishing Israel at this time, he will not forsake them nor give up on them, because his covenant stays strong and he's a keeper of his word. It's just unfortunate that Israel as a group of people does not. How sad that is. What Eliyahu said to the prophet Ezekiel provides additional evidence of the fact that the prophet of Israel spoke in parables, brothers and sisters. So we're going to look at another scripture, Ezekiel 17, brothers and sisters. Okay, brothers and sisters, take a look at the screen. Ezekiel 17, we're going to take it all the way to 24. And the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, put forth a riddle, and spake a parable unto the house of Israel. And said, Thus saith Yahuwah, a great eagle with great wings, long-winged, full of feathers, which had divers colors, came unto Lebanon, and took the highest branch of the cedar. He cropped off the top of his young twigs and carried it into a land of traffic. He set it in a city of merchants. He took also of the seed of the land and planted it in a fruitful field. He placed it by great waters and set it as a willow tree. And it grew and became a spreading vine of low stature, whose branches turned towards him, and the roots thereof were under him. So I became a vine, and brought forth branches, and shot forth sprigs. 7. There was also another great eagle with great wings and many feathers, and behold, this vine did bend her roots towards him, and shot forth her branches towards him, that it might water it by the furrows of her plantation. 8. It was planted in a good soil by great waters, that it might bring forth branches, and that it might bear fruit, that it might be a goodly vine. Say thou, thus saith Yahuwah, shall it prosper? Shall he not pull up the roots thereof, and cut off the fruit thereof, that it wither? It shall wither in all the leaves of her spring, even without great power, or many people to pluck it up by the roots thereof. Yea, behold, being planted, shall it prosper? Shall it not utterly wither? When the east wind touch it, it shall wither in the furrows where it grew. Moreover, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Say now to the rebellious house. So who's the rebellious house, brothers and sisters? Israel. Say now to the rebellious house, Know ye not what these things mean? Tell them, Behold, the king of Babylon is come to Jerusalem, and have taken the king thereof, and the princes thereof, and led them with him to Babylon, and had taken to the king's seed, and made a covenant with him, and had taken an oath of him. He had also taken the mighty of the land, that the kingdom might be base, that it might not lift itself up, but that by keeping of his covenant it might stand. But he rebelled against him in sending his ambassadors into Egypt, Mizraim, that they might give him horses and much people. Shall he prosper? Shall he escape that doeth such things, or shall he break the covenant and be delivered? As I live, said Yahuwah, surely in the place where the king dwelleth that made him king, whose oath he despised, and whose covenant he brake, even with him in the midst of Babylon, he shall die. Neither shall a Pharaoh with his mighty army and great company make for him in the war, by casting up mounts and building forts, to cut off many persons, seeing he despised the oath by breaking the covenant, when lo, he had given his hand and had done all these things, he shall not escape. Therefore thus saith Yahuwah, as I live, surely mine oath that he had despised, and my covenant that he had broken, even it will I recompense upon his own head. So you see, the judgment is bringing upon Judah and Israel, because they make man their covenant, they make man their hope. They trust in man rather than trusting Eliyahu. That is why the Most High is doing these things. You see. And all his fugitives with all his band shall fall by the sword, and they that remain shall be scattered towards all the winds, and he shall know that I Yahuwah have spoken it. So you gotta understand, brothers, is why where the Most High is coming from, and look through the lens of the Most High. You see, of all the things that the Most High had done for Israel from the time he led them from Mizraim, you understand, until he brought him to the promised land. Even before that, when he took Jacob, and make him into a nation. From then, all these things the Most High showed them numerous miracles, the judgment upon their enemies. Yes, and they have a short memory, forget that, go back into the ways of the wicked. Therefore, the Most High do what he does. And who can blame the Most High? Thus said Yahuwah, I will, verse 22, thus said Yahuwah, I will also take of the highest branch of the high cedar, and will set it, I will crop off from the top of his young twigs and tender ones, and will plant it upon a high mountain and eminent in the mountain of the highest. Israel will I plant it, and it shall bring forth boughs and bear fruit, and be goodly cedar, and under it shall dwell all fowl of every wing. In the shadow of the branches thereof shall they dwell. And all the trees of the field shall know that I Yahuwah have brought down the high tree, have exalted the low tree, have dried up the green tree, and have made the dried tree to flourish. I Yahuwah have spoken, and have done it. So the Most High tell that he's the one that doing all these things. So what you see going on in the world, whether good or bad, the Most High allowed, and he's doing it because his will be done. Didn't Yahuwah said, I create good, I create evil. I Yahuwah do it all these things, brothers and sisters. Let that sink in. And so, brothers and sisters, so in Ezekiel 17, right, Eliyahu was in the foregoing chapter reckoning with the people of Yahudah and bringing ruin upon them for their treachery in breaking covenant with him. In his chapter, he is reckoning with them, king of Yahudah, for his treachery in breaking covenant with the king of Babylon. For when Eliyahu came to contend with them, he found many grounds of his controversy. The thing was now in doing. Zedekiah was practicing with the king of Mizraim, Egypt, on the hand for assistance in a treacherous project he had formed to shake off the yoke of the king of Babylon and violate the homage and fealty he had sworn to him. For this Eliyahu by the prophets here. Right? The prophet is appointed to put forth a riddle to the house of Israel, not to puzzle them as Samson's riddle was, but forth to the Philistines actually. So the prophet is appointed to put forth a riddle to the house of Israel, not to puzzle them as Samson's riddle was, but was put forth to the Philistines, not to hide the mind of Eliyahu from them in obscurity, or to leave them in uncertainty about it, one advancing one conjecture and another, as is usual in expounding riddles. No, he is immediately to tell them to the meaning of it. Let him that speaks in an unknown tongue pray that he may interpret. You go find it, Corinthians actually 14:3, Corinthians. But he must deliver this message in a riddle or parable, that they might take the more notice of it, might be the more affected with it themselves, and might the better remember it and tell it to others. For these reasons, Eliyahu often used similitudes of the servant, the prophet. Mashiach himself opened his mouth in parable. Riddles and parables are used for an amusement to ourselves and an entertainment to our friends. The prophet must make use of these to see if in this dress the things of Eliyahu might find acceptance and insinuate themselves into the minds of a careless people. Note, ministers should study to find out acceptable words and try various methods to do good, and as far as they have reason to think will be for edification, should both bring that which is familiar into their preaching, and their preaching too into their familiar discourse, that they may not be so vast and dissimulated The similitude as with some there is between what they say in the pulpit and what they say out. Okay, brothers and sisters, and so the reason for this, right? The parables or the dark saying is he is appointed to expound. So who is appointed to expound? The prophet. The prophet is appointed to expound this riddle, right, to the rebellious house, and the rebellious house is Israel. Though being rebellious, they might justly have been left in ignorance to see and hear and not perceive, yet the things shall be explained to them. Know you not what these things mean? Those that knew the story and what was now in agitation might make a shrewd guess at the meaning of this riddle, but that they might be left without excuse. He is to give it to them in plain terms, stripped of the metaphor, but the enigma was first propounded for them to study a while and to send to their friends at Jerusalem, that they might inquire after and expect the solution of it sometime after, brothers and sisters, right? In addition to this evidence, the Hebrew word for parable is mashal, right? Mashal is also translated Proverbs in the Old Testament, or Mashalit, right? Therefore, a proverb in the same as a parable. Therefore, a proverb is the same as a parable, which means the book of Proverbs is actually a book of parables, comparisons, that explains why the author of the book of Proverbs described his reason for writing this way. Let's look at that, brothers and sisters. Proverbs 1, 2-6. So take a look at the screen. Mishali, Proverbs 1. We're going to take it from 1-7. Right, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise wisdom, wise counsel. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark saying. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. Fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instructions. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instructions. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instructions, brothers and sisters. You know, even though this verse, this chapter 1-7 is in parables, but if you look at chapter 7, verse 7 at the end, it sums it up clearly, so you can understand. So the fear of Yahuwah, what gives you what to understand the proverb interpretations of the words of the wise and their dark saying. Why you could do that? Because why? You fear Yahuwah in the beginning of knowledge, right? You fear Yahuwah because is the beginning of knowledge. So because you love the Most High, because you cherish the Most High, because you know of His judgment, what can happen to you if you do not do His will, that fear gives you knowledge, and that knowledge gives you understanding, right? To understand the proverbs, right? And the interpretations thereof of the proverb. And the words of the wise and their dark saying, because you fear Yahuwah. And that is the beginning of your knowledge. And because again you fear Yahuwah in verse 7, in verse 5, a wise man will hear, because why? You fear Yahuwah. And a wise man fear Yahuwah, because he's known the judgment of Yahuwah is eternal. Right? So in verse 5, a wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. Why? Because he followed instruction in verse 7. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge. So because of that fear, he gained knowledge, so he could do in verse 6 and verse 5. Brothers and sisters, let's move on. Also, two brothers, I want to point out also two, right? So because because of verse 7, because of the answer the Most High give us in verse 7, you could attain 6, 5. Which I just explained to you right now. I even go up to verse 4. It says, because the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, it gives subtlety to the simple. So you see how this one verse breaks on the whole chapter in verse 7 because of this. So because the fear of Yahuwah, what? It gives subtlety to the simple, to the young man, knowledge and discretion. Right? And it also gives you to receive the instruction of wisdom. Why? Because you fear Yahuwah. And is the beginning of wisdom. So because of that wisdom, and because of that knowledge, right, it receives the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity. And then what? In verse 2, verse 2, to know wisdom and instruction, and to perceive the words of understanding, because they fear Yahuwah. Because they give the knowledge of these things. Right? So it breaks down everything just by the Most High giving us the answer in verse 7. Huh? And so ultimately all of the parables and hard to understand statement of Yahusha Mashiach are tied directly to the parabolic statement, the proverbs and riddles behind which Moses and all the other prophets of Israel conceal the truth of the word of Eliyahu. Messiah makes his point by tying Psalm Tehillim 78 and 2 directly to what Yahusha was doing when he spoke in parables. So let's look at Tehillim 78, 2 to 3. Okay, brothers and sisters, take a look at the screen. We're gonna take it from Tehillim Psalm 78. We're gonna start from 2 all the way to 7. I will open my mouth in a dark parable. I will utter dark saying of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, shewing to the generation to come the praises of Yahuwah and his strength and his wonderful works that he had done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in Eliyahu and not forget the works of Eliyahu, but keep his commandments, brothers and sisters. You see, so the whole purpose of the parable, right? I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark saying of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. So what did our fathers have told us, brothers and sisters? The judgment of the Most High, the deliverance of Israel by the Most High. You understand? The blessings that the Most High gave unto Israel, and the judgment against their enemies. Right? Those are the sayings. Right? We will not hide them from their children, showing to the generation to come the praise of Yahweh, which we just outlined just now, and his strength and wonderful works that he had done. For he established testimony in Jacob. What's the testimony? That you are his people and you are his pastors. Right? And appointed a law into Israel. What is his law? His commandments, his statutes. And he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in Eliyahu and not forget the works of Eliyahu, but keep his commandments, brothers and sisters. Right? Here's another scripture. We're going to turn to Matthew 13. We're going to start at 33 to 35. That's Matthew 13, 33 to 35. Another parable spake he unto them, the kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. All these things spake Yahusha unto the multitude in parables, and without a parable spake he not unto them, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables, I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world, brothers and sisters. So, again, why did the Most High speak in parables? Right, so as to keep the things, the secret of things hidden from before the foundation of the earth until time be fulfilled and reveal, and it revealing this modern time as we speak, right? So it is revealing in this time as we speak. You understand? The grace of Yahuwah be with you, and the blessing of Yahusha sustain you. Come back to his laws, commandments, and statutes, brothers and sisters. The time is at hand. We are on the final hour, the last days. Turn from your wicked ways. Seek Yahuwah through his holy son Yahusha Mashiach with all your heart, with all your mind, and let nobody tell you nothing. You understand? One is the Father, one is the Son, one is the Ruach HaKodesh. Right? The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Be dominion both now and ever, world without end. Okay, brothers and sisters, shalom.